Good evening, welcome to my channel. Thank you for everyone who have been supporting me on the channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the feedback. Got some really good feedback on the channel, and I'm so happy that a lot of people have been making commitments to watch the videos and actually give feedback, which is very helpful. And we have been talking about the cost of living. Everybody talks about the cost of living, and we have been talking about the cost of living, and we'll continue to talk about the cost of living for as long as possible. Today, the interest rate in England, in the UK, by the Bank of England, the governor of the Bank of England actually put the interest rate up by 4%. For those who are actually good with economics, with finance, they can actually tell us what that means. The BBC and all the main media are reporting about the interest rate. The reason for putting up the interest rate has been to control inflation. Whatever that is, we have got the cost of living, and we've been talking about the cost of living ever since, for 1 month now, since these videos have been operational. We started our channel 10 years ago, but we have been active for 1 month now. It has been inactive for 10 years. So welcome. My name is David Okon, and I've been talking to you about the cost of living for a long time now. I've been looking at the cost of living, what is causing it, because I believe normally when we know the causes of a problem and then we learn the solution to the problem, there are actually short-term, medium, and long-term solutions. And I've been pointing to some emergency help with the government, the UK government, and I've also said because of the global economic system, what happens in the UK happens across Europe and America, as well as in the developed world, in the Middle East, and in Africa. Maybe slightly different in Africa in terms of the welfare state, because they have argued within the economic system that um, um, that we are fully in operating under capitalism. And for those who might not understand, capitalism is an economic system. Capitalism is an economic system, and everybody at this time, because we live in an economic age, we live in an economic age. That's fine, but we live in information age, and we operate knowledge economy. And it's so important for people to know the government, under capitalism, the government has closed down. That's what I said. I've been saying it. I'll be saying it over and over and over, so that people try to understand what I'm talking about. The government has closed down. That means everyone is on their own. The government is no longer helping anyone. Not even the rich. The rich can help themselves because they are rich. There are two classes of people in the world: rich and poor. There is a third one called the middle class. They have an opportunity to decide where they stand. Are you poor or rich? If you're rich, fine. If you're poor, fine. One thing remains: you have to look after yourself. That's the message. We have been looking for independence, freedom. Capitalism means freedom because it actually relates to democracy. It relates to liberalism. Capitalism relates to marketization, privatization. Privatization relates to something called liberalization. If you're liberal, it means you're liberated from the grip of the state. The state no longer control you. You control your own life. And men, women, children, and maybe animals as well are free. I'm not so sure about the animals, but I'm sure about humans. We are free from the state. We may not be free now, but the seed for freedom is sown when capitalism came into being. At least that is in theory, theoretically. I hope, I hope we know what capitalism is. I hope it is what it is. I hope freedom is real, but I have said elsewhere in many of my videos that there is something called cultural economy. Cultural economy is a phrase, it's a terminology I've created. Leave a comment below if you think it is cool. Leave a comment below if you think it is not. But it is something I've decided to create to actually guide my discussion, my argument, my propositions. The other one I created is called developmental economy, which is actually what is now happening, in my opinion. We have wealth, we have money, we have development, we have science, technology. We know that, but the human element of progress is what I refer to as the cultural economy. The human element, which means the value of people, respect. Respecting yourself, respecting other people, respecting your property. The reason you should respect your property, your things, your wealth, is that your wealth helps you. It's good for your livelihood. That's why we have the cost of living. And all these are actually connected to the cost of living, because capitalism created the cost of living. The cost of living is a problem faced by the poor. Rich people don't face the cost of living because they are rich, they have money. Those who face the cost of living are those who don't have money. If you don't have money, that is what... If everybody had money, there would be no cost of living. I also said in the other video that technology is going to create wealth. Now, when that happens, or between now and the future, when technology begins to create wealth, then we are going to be accessing wealth wherever wealth occurs, because I expect the machine to be creating wealth at no extra cost. I say this in the other videos. If you watch it, they are very important videos, because if you know something, if you have information, the right information, you are better off. The reason why information is so important now is because the government, there are help the government is giving now, but they are very little. And it's so difficult to get it. Sometimes you might not even get it. It's so frustrating because it's something given so small, so little, you waste a lot of time. And how about your dignity? Everyone has a dignity, and you don't want to be anywhere near the help the government is giving. It's called help, but because it's the way it is handled, the way people who get help are treated now, it's to frustrate them. The reason is that the government is no longer interested in helping people. What is left is just rubbish. But you can still get it if you need. If you don't get it, what are you going to do? If you're not working, if you're sick, you need to go to the hospital. It doesn't matter what happens to you in the hospital. You have to try your best. You have to survive. And it's going to get worse and worse And the middle class, who form 50% of the population, will be experiencing it. This is what is happening in the UK. It will be happening across the globe because of globalization. I've been speaking about globalization a lot. Learn something about globalization, because under globalization, you will also understand what capitalism is. It means you're on your own. You have to really get rich, and get money, do business. If you have work, keep it. If you don't, get better. Go and get help from the government. It doesn't matter how humiliating it is. It is very, very humiliating to get it. It is, because we humans are not created to be begging for money, begging for food, going to the food bank here in the UK, and now the government is asking people to go to people are supposed to go to um, the library, public library, because the England is so cold. The UK is very cold in winter, so people cannot afford the cost of energy. They cannot afford the cost of food. So they go to somewhere called food bank, where you're given food for free. But even there, they're running out of food because it's not funded properly by the government. The government, there is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to run. You cannot run anywhere. You can no longer, see, help from the government is no longer sustainable. This is a message I'm trying to give. I'm going to be talking about in the next few weeks and months about the kind of help available. As long, I will be talking about other topics in terms of this channel. I will be talking about family, children, crime, and there's a lot to talk about. And I say this channel is there to promote freedom of speech, and freedom of speech is a good thing. Talk. I mean, to talk. I mean, say anything. If you're eating food, you're talking. Action speak louder than word. That's what I've been saying here. Action speak louder than word. Anything you do is you are actually talking. That is your freedom. And your freedom explored. That's what this channel is about. Watch the other channel if you are interested in this topic. If you're not, then watch another channel, and I'll be developing this conversation and see how we're doing. My intention is to continue with the conversation, because people will talk, and after talking, people take action. That's progress. I mean, if you don't talk, you're not going to make progress. If you don't talk, you're not going to work, because you exchange ideas when you're talking. That's why we are talking. That's what we do. We talk, and we exchange, we get information, we get knowledge, ideas, and then you can plan, and you can use your plan to take actions. Whatever you want to do with your life is your responsibility. My duty is actually to speak. If you want to listen, you listen. If you learn anything, leave a comment below, let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you like what we talk about. Share with your friends and family if you like it. If you don't like it, maybe you can also share it. It's your choice. If you like it, if you don't want to share it. You don't have to. It's your choice. Maybe you watch it. And if you're happy, be happy. If you're sad, try your best to be happy, because it's your life. This is a message. You have to look after yourself, look after your friends and family, look after the world, look after the environment, look after everything as much as you can. Do what you can. This is why I'm talking. That's the purpose of this channel. And we are 1 month old, and we are doing really well. There's progress here. We are making progress. And I will be talking about capitalism, which is an economic system based on the private ownership of the means of production, and their operation for their operation for profit. And so when you talk about capitalism, you talk about an economic system, and this economic system is based on private ownership of the means of production. Means of production are things you use to produce wealth. You see, and their operation for profit. You create this means of production to make profit. In other words, um, you 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 actually operate the system of the economy to make profit. In other words, again, capitalism, anything you do under capitalism economically, its ultimate goal is to make profit, also to maximize profit. That is the private companies, what the private companies do. I've been talking about this. I'm looking at the material now. I'll be going through this material to try and support some of the things I have said. Go online and read about capitalism, because that is what will be happening. After this, there's no going to be any other economic system. This is the only economic system you should know about. You can learn about many things. You can learn about socialism. You can learn about whatever you want to learn. But the relevant one, the relevant economic facilities we have now is actually capitalism. So welcome to the new world order. We'll talk about globalization, learn about globalization, and so the central characteristics of capitalism include capital accumulation, competitive markets, price system, private property rights, recognition, voluntary exchange, and wage labor. Voluntary exchange means free enterprise. You are not, nobody forces you to exchange your goods, sell and buy. You're not forced. It's free. You choose to exchange goods with service, goods and service with money. Exchange. That kind of thing. Transaction, and you also pay wages, which is actually, if you work, you get salary, you get wages, you get paid for your work, and you have property. You register your property in your name. You have legal rights to your property. That property is yours. It's private. It's yours. You have the right to that property, and you are recognized within law, within society. It is your property, and it involves competitive market. The market is competitive. You compete. Those are the features of capitalism. You see the central characteristics, he says. And so you accumulate wealth. Capital accumulation. You accumulate wealth. You keep piling it over and over. And these are actually what we have been talking about. You pile more and more and more and more. If it is money, you just keep piling it. Pam, 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 pam. Until you can pile it no more. This is what capitalism, accumulation of wealth, capital accumulation. You compete like you're in football. So you are Formula One. If you like Formula One, I watch Formula One. You compete. Football, World Cup, you compete. You compete for votes, as in democracy. You compete for votes. If you want to be an MP, you compete for vote. You compete for the market. You want to sell more than the other person. So competition is the name of the game. So if you go to do business, have a competitive mind to operate under capitalism. Everyone for himself, good for him, for us all. So this is important, and remember, these are some of the features the central characteristic of capitalism. In a market economy, decision making and investments are determined by owners of wealth, property, or ability to maneuver capital, or our production ability in capital and financial markets, whereas prices and the distribution of goods and services are mainly determined by the competition in goods and service market. So what happened is that decision making and investments are determined by owners of wealth. So if you own wealth, you are, so in the market economy, Market economy, where you sell, market is where you sell things. So the economy we talk about, capitalism, involved market economy. So the market economy is the economy of traders. You sell and buy. You know, if you go in the market, you go there as a customer or a consumer. If you go to a market, you go there also as an entrepreneur, somebody who is selling something to somebody else. You go and sell something to somebody, that is a market. You buy something, that's a market. So the market economy, this economy is for selling and buying. You are going to live under capitalism. Think of the market. Think of the market only. Go there either to buy something or sell it. If you have money, why bother? Just go and shop. If you don't have money, think of something to sell. Make something if you have to. Clothing, shoes, hats, clothes. You know, if you know how to make a vehicle, you make a vehicle. That is what is happening now. From now on, you need to learn to sell if you don't have money, so that you get money. If you want more money to accumulate, also sell a bit more. So you talk about the market. People sell and buy. That is what is happening. What will be happening now until the end. When capitalism stops, for whatever reason, that's going to be the end of economic age. This is it. This is it. There's nothing else. Let's just concentrate on capitalism, market economy, capital in accumulation. That is wealth. When they talk about capital, they talk about wealth. You see, we have been talking about the government giving money to private company to invest in capital investment, and that is wealth to the rich. The government has been giving public money to private companies to invest in wealth, in capital. So when the government behaves like that, it is actually promoting capitalism. And at the same time, it is promoting marketization, which is actually the market economy. We just talk about it now. As well as dealing with the market economy, you are actually also dealing with denationalization. I'm attempting to use this word, denationalization, because they're shutting down the national economy. Private is the opposite of national. National is actually public. The public means for us. Private means for me. If it is public, it is for us, all of us. If it is private, it is for me. For the few and not the many. Because that's why they are few. Because they control most of the wealth. The rich, it's like them and us. I have said a lot about this in the other videos. If it tickles your fancy, then watch the other videos and watch this one as well, and share with other people so that they can also enjoy or endure. But one way or the other, if it is valuable, do your best to use it. So they're the deciding factor. They make decisions. If you make decisions, it means you have power over people, over events. So you make decisions, you see, and you make investments. Decision making in investment. You are also an investor. You sow a seed on the ground of the market's economic system. You are an investor. You invest. You have that power. Nobody else can do that. You, as a private, wealthy person, you have the power to invest while owning wealth. See, you own wealth, you own property. Property is what it is, property. And you have the ability to to maneuver capital or production ability in capital and financial markets. You see, whatever involves capital, you can maneuver it and really work with it in whatever way, and you can produce. You have that ability to produce to create more capital and to operate within the financial markets. Finance market mean money. Money you sell and buy market. Every time you hear the word market, no, they're selling and buying. People sell money also. Stock market and whatever, you financial market, you sell money. Or you sell things involving money in the of money things acquiring monetary value, and whereas prices and distribution of goods and services are mainly determined by competition or in goods and services. Now prices go up and down, and this is determined by competition in goods and services. If people compete for something, if people to compete to sell or to buy, it's called supply and demand. This determines whether prices go up and down. If there is more supply, prices goes up. So we say buyers are actually enjoying. When supply goes down, demand goes up, then the prices go up. That's what exactly happened to the cost of living, triggered by the rise in food prices, the rise in energy prices, and the rise in property, rent, everything. The prices went up because the supply was actually interrupted. So demand exceeded supply, and that created the cost of living crisis. And maybe it was the war in Ukraine, but I think COVID also. Think about it. I mean, we had a lot of disruption. So many businesses closed, small and big businesses. So COVID probably is more responsible about the cost of living than the war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine actually impacted on energy supply, I think, more than food, because food was already problematic. The price was already skyrocketed. That is when the government fails to regulate the market. The rich people can deal with that because they have money. Poor people cannot because they don't have money. They can't afford the basics like food and energy. That's what's happening now. So it is the market economy which created the cost of living crisis. Nothing else. Because if the government could control the economy, if there is a crisis, that's what the government is for. It could have intervened to actually suspend the market activity, competition, and all this. But the government no longer control the economy. The market control the economy. That's the difference. So the government is dead. The rich, individual who own all the wealth of this country are the ones in charge. They are the new government. We still vote for our government, but that is actually when we are trying to be helpful. We're trying to be helpful to society and vote. But because of the market, because of the power the market has, we can vote if we want to, but just be helpful because every little bit helps. So economists, historians, political economists, and sociologists have adopted different perspectives in their analysis of capitalism and have recognized various forms of it. So these are actually people who, economists, historians, political economists, and sociologists. These are analysts that have adopted different perspectives of in their analysis of capitalism, and have recognized various forms of it in practice. So there are many different forms of capitalism, says analysts, those who do studies, they say there are different forms of capitalism operational in the, and they say capitalism come in all shapes and sizes. These include laissez-faire or free market capitalism. We talk about free market, I mean, it's as unrestrained. They call anarcho capitalism, state capitalism. Anarcho probably is to do with, I don't know if it's anarchy or something, which means it's almost like lawlessness. State capitalism, that is like capitalism controlled by the state, it's in the public sector, and the welfare capitalism, like what we spoke about, the government is intervening, but these are actually happening. All these others are now gone. What we now left with is free market capitalism, or what they call laissez-faire. That is what is now left. The rest is gone. You can learn about them, but just forget about them. Because when you say welfare state, we talked about it, that is a form of capitalism because it was operating under the capitalistic environment. Now it's gone. What is left is actually residue. Um, Different forms of capitalism featuring varying degrees of free markets, public ownership, obstacles to free competition, and state sanctioned social policies. Now, we've already spoken about that. We talk about degrees of free markets. So we have free markets economy, capitalism now. So the form we have now is free marketization, and the public ownership is gone. The government just sold of what was left, and what is left, if any, is now just symbolic. Just ignore it. Every public aspect of capitalism is sold out. So if we are going to talk about capitalism, let us only talk about the competitive one, the marketized one. We'll talk about the market capitalism, if you want to call it that way. Now, if you mention capitalism, forget all the other analytical perspectives. It's good for knowledge, but in practice, we have the marketized one, the marketized form of capitalism, which is what we have now, which is what I've been talking about. And you see that there are the reason why when we talk about obstacle to free competition, I mean the government actually regulate the economy. The government is no longer regulating the economy because it has free. That's what the opposite. Actually, regulatory capitalism is the opposite of free marketized capitalism. So the capitalism we have now is free. There is no obstacles to freedom. That is also been globalized, like we said in the other video. World without border, free movement of people of capital. So what was actually national is now global. So you get that metrics and you picture out what is happening globally and nationally. And yeah, so um, so the degree of competition in markets and the role of intervention and regulation, as well as the scope of state ownership, vary across different models of capitalism. That is well and good, but like I said, that is actually a good analytical tool, but the real world is what I have talked about. We now are left with the free market economic system. That is the capitalism we have. So the extent to which different markets are free and the rules defining private property are matters of politics and policy. Most of the existing capitalist economies are mixed economies that combine elements of free market with state intervention and in some cases economic planning. Now, we have already said that um, there are what you might call vestiges of these other elements, intervention and all that, and planning, you may have it in fringes, but in the core, what is left is now um, pure market economic system without intervention, without any economic planning. It, the planning may be there, but they're symbolic. If they plan anything, they plan for the market, but not for the public aspect of the economic infrastructure. So market economies have existed under many forms of government and in many different times, places, and cultures. This is probably more so now than before. Modern capitalist societies developed in Western Europe in a process that led to the Industrial Revolution. This is kind of like a reflection, it's a flashback to how it evolved capitalist systems with varying degrees of different government intervention have since become dominant in the Western world and continues to spread. So we talk about the West, Western democracy, Western economies. So we talk about this. Capitalism is situated with the West, as opposed to the East. Economic growth is a characteristic tendency of capitalist economies. Now we are still talking about growth. The current government in Britain is talking about growth. The West is talking about growth. The globe is talking about growth, and that is a feature of capitalism. The market economy actually creates wealth. Growth is actually the growth of wealth, which is good for the economy. Growth is good. The problem with marketization is that the rich own everything and the poor owns nothing. And the rich are only 10%, the poor are 90%. So if we want to correct capitalism, let us correct social injustice. The term capitalist, meaning an owner of capital, appears earlier than the term capitalism and dates to the mid 17th century. Capitalism is derived from capital, which evolved from capital, or late Latin word based on caput, meaning head, which is also the origin of chattel or cattle in the sense of movable property, only much later to refer only to livestock. So this is actually the origin. It's about things, about wealth. It's about these are actually the features. I mean, how we evolved over time. Capital emerged in the 12th and the 13th centuries to refer to funds, stock, merchandise, sum of money or money carrying interest. So it's about money, 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 wealth, wealth. By 2083, it was used in the sense of the capital assets of a trading firm and was often interchanged with the other words: wealth, money, funds, goods, assets, property, and so on. Money, 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 which is actually good. We need money, we need wealth. It's good for us. The Holland's German Holland's Mercurius uses capitalists in 1633 and 1654 to refer to the owners of capital. In French, Etienne Clavier referred to capitalists in 1788, 4 years before its recorded English usage by Arthur Young in his work Travels in France, 1792. In his Principles of Political Economy and Taxation, 1870, 1817, David Ricardo referred to the capitalists many times. The English poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge used capitalists in his work Table Talk 1823. Pierre-Joseph Proudhon used the term in his first work, What is Property? 1840, to refer to the owners of capital. Benjamin Disraeli used the term in his 1845 work Sibyl. We refer to Benjamin Disraeli. He was former British Prime Minister, but this is before he was Prime Minister. The initial use of the term capitalism in its modern sense is attributed to Louis Blanc in 1850, what I call capitalism. That is to say, the appropriation of capital by some or the exclusion, by some to the exclusion of others, and Pierre Joseph production in 1861 economic and social regime in which capital, the source of income, does not generally belong to those who make it work through their labor. So the distribution of wealth was an issue at the outset of the formulation of capitalist system. Karl Marx frequently referred to the capital and to the capitalist mode of production in Das Kapital, 1867. Marx did not use the form capitalism, but instead used capitalist, and capitalist mode of production which appear frequently. Due to the word being coined by socialist critics of capitalism, economist and historian Robert Essen stated that the term capitalism itself is a term of disparagement and misnomer for economic individualism. So we're talking about people actually having views at the outset of capitalistic movement and its development, and in the English language, the term capitalism first appears, according to the Oxford English Dictionary (OED), in 1854 in the novel The Newcomes by novelist William Makepeace Thackeray, where the word meant having ownership of capital. Also, according to the OEC, Karl Adolf, a German-American socialist and abolitionist, used the term private capitalism in 1863. I'm going to stop this video here. We have been looking briefly at capitalism. We'll look at globalization, we'll look at the welfare state, we'll look at the public sector. Now we're looking probably more at the private sector. Because capitalism now is related to the private sector, and we are on the move, and it caused actually the cost of living because of change. The government has been making rapid changes, dramatic changes, and people need to know if they want to know. If they don't want to know, then they can do something else. This video, the purpose is to actually share this information, to share an understanding, and going forward probably we'll be looking at specific help in Britain for emergency requirement. Actually, in this video series, pointed to some information. I will be repeating them because when I started this channel, there were very few people. There are still very few people. That's why I'm actually concentrating on giving a background to what capitalism, what the cost of living look like, why the cost of living is happening, and as we grow as a channel, it will be more appropriate to, at least for people in Britain, to know where the cost of living every video I produce, I've actually mentioned where to get help now. Go to the government website in Britain, the gov.uk. Go there. It's everything you need to know about every help. And leave a comment below if you need something specific, or if somebody you know needs something specific in terms of help. Leave a comment below, and then I will actually take up and point you as much as I can to where help is. If you are you're in the UK, help is actually at gov.uk, the internet, everything is there. Go also to website of your local council, there is help there. Go to big charity organization like Citizen Advice, the public website, there's help there. You can actually follow this information and then actually make connection with the council, with the DWP, the Department for Work and Pension, with Citizen Advice, with Shelter, with different types. With the energy company also give help, and water company also give help, financial help. And there are so many different private companies. You can find them. They're all connected to the government website. They are connected to the Department for Health and the Department for Health and the DWP for Works and Pension, Department for Wealth for Work and Pension. If you go there, you will find all sorts of private companies. You will be referred to them. But if you're going to get help, other help, passport to help, you need to be in benefit mostly. If you're not in benefit, the likelihood you're not going to get most of the help anyway. So you have to be on low income. If you get if you have a saving of £16,000, you're not going to get any benefit at all unless you're sick or you're a pensioner. If you're sick, you can get a sickness benefit. Even if you have 16,000 or more in saving, if you work a certain amount of hours, but if you earn a certain amount of money from your work, you will not get benefit. But normally you can go online and get, if in the UK, if you Google actually entitled to, this is a website of an organization, you can actually do a benefit calculation, better off calculation. These are actually specific things you can do to find out if you might be entitled to benefit. If you're on low income, if you're on the minimum wage, but also if you're in debt, you can get help with debt advice from charities, from other agencies, different agencies. They are free legal advice or policy advice, or just advice on issues like debt, on issues like immigration, because immigration is really important, because of the law and policy, a lot of things have changed really. If you are if you are if you are an immigrant in the UK, you might not get benefit. I mean, you might get the accident benefit, but necessarily you're not really entitled to benefit because the law has changed. In the past, anybody coming to the UK could get benefit. A benefit is money and housing and access to health care. Because now, if you are actually, there's something called leave to enter or leave to remain or pre-settled status if you're from the European Union area or from maybe Europe. If you are a citizen immigration status, there's something called no recourse to public fund, which means you're not going to get housing, public housing. You're not getting public housing. You're not going to get help with public transport. You're not going to get help if you're sick. You're not going to get free health care in the UK anymore. So it's a very serious thing. If you are traveling, if you are actually settling in the UK, basically what it is, because they don't want poor people here. Poor people are not wanted as immigrants because the government cannot look after themselves. The government has shut down the public sector. And if you are living, if you are a citizen, you still have some help, but it's only temporary because more and more the government is actually pushing people away from help. It has made getting help almost impossible. If you are getting help, it's almost impossible to remain in help because the conditions are so absurd. I mean, you can still. I mean, some people don't have choices. Most people don't have choices, but more people are going to be in need, and a lot of people are going to suffer. That's the message. I have to be clear. If you want to do research, if you want to talk to other people, start talking to them. But if you go to professionals, they're going to concentrate on what took you there, because most people go to professionals to get help, specific help. If you want debt advice, they're going to give you that. They're not going to be involved with policy issues. In this channel, the difference between this channel and other places, you tend to know what is really happening. If you think this is not really, not getting enough, do your own homework. Be responsible for your life, because the government is no longer responsible for your life. This is what I will be mentioning over and over and over. Every video I make, this information will be in it, because it's so important to me. If it is not important to you, think again. You can watch the video or not watch it. Even if it is important to you, you don't have to watch this video if you don't want to. You can go and do something else. I am only recording this, hoping that people will watch it. I watch it also, because these are actually recorded. I watch it also just to keep it in my head. And because some material, I'm actually looking at some material, I'm doing some research. It's preliminary. I'll be refining in material and making a more pointed, more surgical presentation. But for now, I want people to know generally the broad background. Because if you know things in part, then you're confused. The message here is clear. Capitalism rules. Marketization rules. Get it in your head. We are not going to have anything else. Some people are still demonstrating. It's like, okay, I don't know what they're going to get. Leave a comment below if you know somebody who is doing demonstration for better pay or whatever. I mean, better pay is not going to happen because the government is closed. The government is actually a public sector. When I'm talking about the government, I'm talking government for the people, not for private businesses. That is there. Whether that is there or not is not important, because these people are government in their own right. So look after yourself. If you want to speak to your MP, you go and speak to your MP. If you want to talk to me, leave a comment below for now. When I get a system of video conferencing, then you can talk to me if I let you in, depending on the circumstance, what's happening in this channel. Otherwise, go somewhere else. If you think what I'm talking about is important, but you're not getting enough, go somewhere else. There are loads and loads of help. A lot of information, but you have to work for it. You have to do a research, you have to read, you have to write, you have to compile if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, do something else. Do whatever you want to do. You can watch this video or you don't have to. You can do something else. My job, I will keep saying this again and again. My job is to record these videos with this information because I think they are extremely important to me. They're important to everyone. If you think it's not important for you, leave a comment below and let me know what you want me to talk about. If you think I can talk about something is more important, who knows? I will see if I can talk about it. I've been talking over the phone with many people. Many people have been giving me different feedback, and they want different things. There are 8 billion people in the world. I assume, but an estimate, up to probably maybe, I don't know, maybe up to 3 billion people watch. I don't know the statistic. Maybe up to 3 billion people are watching YouTube. I don't know. The information. I have the information somewhere, the statistic, but right now I don't have access to it. It's somewhere there. I have to look for it. The statistic. How many people watch YouTube? The information are there. You can go and type how many people watch the YouTube. If you want to know, you will know it. It's on. If you Google it, I think you should be able to access it. And so potentially different people want different things because we are individuals. But somehow, because we're also humans, we probably want the same thing a lot. Like now, we want help. We need help from the government, but the message the government is gone. You're on your own. If you still have something, it's a residue. It's what is left. Pick it up if you can. But I can tell you this. Getting help from the government is almost impossible now. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. The government is gone. The market has come. Business. Do business if you can. Sell something. If you have a job, carry on working, because one feature of the capitalism is that they can pay you money, salary, if you work. Benefit, the government is saying benefit doesn't pay. That is what the conservative government say. Benefit doesn't pay. Work pays. Yes, they are right. Benefit doesn't pay because it is gone. It's no longer there. Government is trying to help you. They may not speak to you the way I speak because they have other responsibilities. The real responsibility is different from mine. But they are right. Don't waste your time on benefit. If it is still there, whatever is there, if you can get it, get it. If you don't get it, think of something else. If you have a family and you're watching this video, if you value it, go and talk to your family and tell them the government has shut down. Okay? There is now you're on your own. Government is not looking after you. Not anymore. The government said this again and again. We don't want nanny states. Where were you? You should have listened to what the government say. You should listen to what the government do not want nanny state. Period. And that is what they have achieved. And it's time for everyone now to adapt, to actually embrace change. The cost of living is a sign that the change has occurred. There are other elements. All the impact, most of the impact is going to be relating to the cost of living. This crisis is going to be a feature of modern living until technology matures, and technology is the only way now to produce wealth for people who will not be able to access wealth under capitalism. Because capitalism, the strongest feature of capitalism is that it's only for the few and not for the many. And to access even wealth right now is going to be a miracle. But you should try. You should try every way to be rich. If you cannot be rich, don't worry. Just work as hard as you can. If you have to do 3 or more work, you need to be aware that right now, focus on work. If you can work, if you are young, don't neglect work at all. If you think there is benefit, if you think you can still get public housing, if you think you can still get free healthcare, if you think you can still get free education in this country, if you think you can just get affordable transport, if you think you can still get free food or free energy, free water. Forget it. It's gone. You have to pay for everything. You have to pay for food. You have to pay for energy. You have to pay for water. You have to pay for housing. You have to pay for everything. And there is going to be no benefit, including pension. Pension is the public sectorial, so it's part of benefit. It's provided by the public. There will be no pension. Forget about pension. Private sector there's something now called work pension. When the government totally dissolves, maybe in 50 years, 100 years, there may be no work pension. You get your salary, the employer will do what they like. And going forward also, in terms of employment, there are going to be less and less employment because of technology. If you go to the supermarket, you go to the bank, you go to public transport in the UK, it's mechanized, machine. The ticketing, there are going to be driverless vehicles. There are driverless trains now and planes, airplanes. You have seen drones, haven't you? You don't drive, a drone drives itself. Some people still operate drones. But in the future, they will just be autonomous. They will drive themselves. Cars will drive themselves. There will be no drivers. There will be no security guards because, robots will be the new security guards. There will be no police. There will be no military because robot will be the new military. And it is happening now. Behind the scene, there are actually developments. When it happens, there will be even private army. Anyway, there are mercenaries now. There is private security. There are private traffic wardens. They used to be public. It's changing. They are in the hospital, private ambulance. Private beds, probably. I don't know about beds. But I'll be surprised if the beds being used in the hospital are not private beds. I think they are, because why the government is now sending people to use their home as hospital. Even if you're sick, even if you're very sick, you're actually, they use private or whatever, private or public, it doesn't matter. They use ambulance, they call it transport, to bring you back. Even if you're still very, very sick, if you need to be in the hospital, they are going to discharge you to come back home, and then they are going to send nurses and doctors to help you from home. It's because there are no beds. The government cannot afford the cost of the public sector because it has changed. It has solved of everything. The government has nothing. And now the wealthy people are owning the wealth of the UK, the wealth of Europe, the wealth of the wealth of the West, the wealth of the East, the wealth of the developed world, the wealth of the developing world is owned by private individuals. The government is shutting down globally. So that is good news and bad news, but you need to know the facts. You can check everything I have said. It is true. It may sound stupid, it may sound clever. Whether it is clever or stupid, don't take my word for it. Go and do a research. Check every single word I have said. It is true. You look for the information, you will find it is true. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Share with family and friends, and like the video and ring a notification bell, and leave a comment below. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.